The sea had been witness to the birth of their love, and now it became witness to its blossoming. Mireille and Jean-Michel no longer walked as strangers testing the weight of each other's words, but as two people whose hands had found their rightful place together. They became inseparable, weaving their lives with threads of devotion, laughter, and work. Jean-Michel, who had once doubted his belonging, began to settle more deeply into Cap-Haïtien. He realized that love was not only a matter of the heart, but of action. He wanted Mireille's dreams to grow as wide as the sea itself. And so, he began teaching her what he knew from his years in New York: how to track profits and losses, how to build relationships with suppliers, how to think beyond the day's sales and envision the business of tomorrow. At first, Mireille resisted. She was used to measuring success in coins that clinked in her tin box at the end of each market day. But Jean-Michel showed her the power of writing things down, of planning ahead. "Numbers don't lie," he told her gently one evening as they sat at the wooden table in her home. "If you know your numbers, you will know your power." Little by little, she began to see what he meant. With his encouragement, she expanded her stall, investing in bulk purchases rather than buying small. Instead of selling only fruits and bracelets, she began to stock rice, beans, flour, and cooking oil. Her customers grew, and soon other vendors were coming to her for supplies. Mireille, once just another face in the market crowd, became someone others depended on. Her confidence grew with her business. She carried herself differently, her posture straighter, her steps more purposeful. Jean-Michel watched with admiration, never once trying to overshadow her. "A river does not drink its own water," he reminded her with a proverb. "What you are building will feed many." But Mireille was not content to stop there. With Jean-Michel's guidance, she began traveling, first to the Dominican Republic, crossing the border to buy goods at lower prices and bring them back to sell. The journey was long and tiring, but her determination fueled her. Each time she returned, her brothers would help unload sacks of merchandise, their pride in her shining brighter than the Caribbean sun. Panama came next. It was Jean-Michel who first suggested it, recalling how many Haitian merchants traveled there to source clothing, shoes, and household goods. Mireille hesitated. She had never been on a plane, but Jean-Michel held her hand and said, "The bird that fears to fly will never see the wide sky." With trembling courage, she boarded her first flight, and when she returned, her suitcases were filled not only with products but with the proof that she could conquer new worlds. Her reputation spread. Soon, Mireille was no longer just a market vendor, she was a wholesale supplier, selling goods to merchants across Haiti. Her once calloused hands now carried ledgers, her modest dresses replaced by elegant yet simple outfits that reflected both her beauty and her growing status. Yet through it all, she remained humble, never forgetting the dust of the marketplace where she had begun. Jean-Michel stood proudly by her side, not as the architect of her success, but as her partner in it. He became her advisor, her protector, and her greatest supporter. And in return, Mireille gave him something he had longed for all his life, a true sense of home. Their love deepened with each journey, each shared triumph, each challenge overcome. There were long nights when they argued over risks, Jean-Michel worried about her traveling alone, Mireille frustrated by his caution. Yet always, the arguments ended with reconciliation, with the reminder that their strength came not from agreement but from unity. One evening, after a long day of unloading shipments, Mireille sat beside Jean-Michel on the balcony of a small guest house overlooking the Cap-Haïtien boulevard. The sea stretched endlessly before them, its waves crashing against the coastline. She leaned her head on his shoulder and whispered, "Do you see how far we have come?" Jean-Michel smiled, his arm around her. "Behind mountains, there are more mountains," he replied, echoing the proverb she had once whispered to herself in the darkest days. "But now, we climb them together." Mireille closed her eyes, listening to the sea. She thought of the girl she had once been, standing in the marketplace with baskets of fruit and dreams she dared not speak aloud. And she thought of the woman she was becoming, strong, determined, unafraid of borders or challenges. Her love for Jean-Michel was not the fragile love of a passing romance. It was the steady fire of partnership, the kind that could weather storms and still burn bright. Together, they were no longer defined by what they lacked, but by what they built. And so, their journey of love and partnership led them to stand side by side before family and friends in a modest yet radiant ceremony in Cap-Haïtien. The church was filled with music and the scent of fresh flowers, her brothers beaming with pride as they watched Mireille walk down the aisle in a simple white dress that seemed to glow in the sunlight. Jean-Michel's eyes never left hers, his smile steady, his heart certain. As they exchanged vows, the elder of the community offered a final proverb: when spider webs unite, they can tie up a lion. It was a blessing over their union, a reminder that together, they could face any hardship. From that day forward, they were no longer two souls bound by chance, but one life, one purpose, one love written into the very heartbeat of Cap-Haïtien.